We're gonna watch this thing collapse on Bill. Okay.
So I have bunker rakes in there to fill 2 golf courses. So sad. Let's see if we can find golf balls.
Yeah. This thing is sitting on the roof of the cart, so we'll see how it goes and bouncing and shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Chris McEwen at Chris McEwen on your social media platforms of choice. I'm Bill Bush from DrivingRangeHeroes.com at Range Heroes. We are playing the historic Calumet Country Club of Illinois today. Nice, crisp August day. Don't know where my tee shot went.
You were over here-ish, somewhere. Built in 1901. You're going to talk about some of the changes that this place has gone through.
Established 1901. This course
yes.
is its second location. 1922, I think. We'll get into that. But we say it every year. Who knows how much longer it's going to be here. So, Hey, Dad.
You got a brace now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're in the middle of the fairway.
Oh, you got a kick.
Tree bounce.
Look at you.
Just to get this recorded, historic course that went public in 2018-19 to try to salvage and save itself, and it's still around. The redevelopment plans haven't been made, but let's just say it shows that they don't have funding here.
Yeah.
They're not investing. It's not the shot to hit.
Should be pretty good. Get up there.
But this is sort of what I'm talking about. These, you know, they don't have the ability to keep up with the course anymore, so these bunkers, they've just left and let grow back in.
Yeah, that's rough.
That said, like fairways.
Yeah, fairways are good.
They're looking pretty good. The rough looks healthy.
So the greens are in good shape. I played it a couple weeks ago with that unfiltered. Pretty good.
You know, the holes are definitely interesting.
Is that me right here, I think?
Must be, yeah. So this course had to get torn apart for a highway coming in, and a lot of holes changed and modified, and you can see the remnants of old holes and tee box and stuff hidden in the trees. It's always kind of a neat thing about this place. Second hole is a par 3 that used to be a par 4, but they had to cut it in half when the highway went in. So now it's a lengthy 190-yard par 3 over water. Heave that one.
Pretty good. Left side, a little short.
Yep.
Oh. Oh. So that would explain kind of this weird routing right here.
Well, this actually
Is this
the trip between 2 and 3, right? Because you would have been over the highway this way,
yeah,
finishing 2, like over here,
yeah.
coming to the third tee box. But the third tee box was back there.
Yeah. Yeah, where that, yeah. Do we know when that changed?
Late 50s.
Okay.
This is a very Donald Rossian hole. A lot of the Chicagoland Ross courses seem to have it with the little creek cutting off your driver and playing up against a property line. Neat little hole. No clue.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. I mean, how is this thing even staying up? Yeah.
I just want to know what wonderful Calumet Country Club artifacts are in there somewhere.
Are hidden, yeah. We're gonna watch this thing collapse on Bill. Okay.
So I have bunker rakes in there to fill 2 golf courses. So sad.
Wowzers.
Let's see if we can find golf balls.
Yeah.
Kills me is this place was built in a time where steel and railroad industry just dominating, and so there's more money than sin in this part of the city.
Yeah.
And so no matter how much logic said, it makes no sense to have so many private golf clubs in one spot. Do it anyway. And there's a whole bunch of them that even fell off the map by like 1930. Oh, I'm being like a golf guy?
Yeah.
I'm Steve Cashel. So this is fairly, interesting is giving it a little too much credit maybe, but it's neat. So this is the 1922-ish rebuild is a Donald Ross design. I saw it's like the American Park, something built it. They did Medina, Olympia Fields. So it sounds like they did a lot of the Ross work around here back in the day, but where you're standing would have been shaven down
Right.
into a drainage, but this was all sand. We have the aerial, and sure enough, it is a sand-filled bunker, and so you'd hit that long shot, have a hard time holding a Donald Ross green, and come right down into it. And I'll say this, like I said on 3, you see that hole a lot in the Donald Ross Chicagoland course. These back ends of these signature back to front sloping greens and then tipping off behind into drainage or a sand trap like this, also common amongst the Chicagoland Ross course. I say that they may be common in all of his courses.
Yeah, right.
I don't have the global travel
But
of.
if you think too, like, this is it's an uphill, pretty long par 4, so you've got to hit probably a long iron back in the day into this thing. So yeah, it could be tough to hold that green if you go long. If that pin's back, you're gonna end up down here.
Cool Chicago woodland Donald Ross par 4, same thing. But you got to get it over this ridge in the fairway and let it feed down right. And if you miss it, you're dead.
Now these trees, I'll ask you, Bill, because you're good at this stuff. If you imagine this course, what, 1930?
Yeah.
What are I mean, it's pretty wide open.
Yeah, they're very little.
Yeah.
And then you can see, though, there's smaller trees here.
Yeah.
So in their, revival era that they tried to do here, they were clearly planting, which seems crazy. And these are younger trees. They didn't need them. Yeah, these would have been small, fairly open farmland.
Right.
And you can probably see that in our aerial. It won't be as foresty.
Yeah, you'll notice that right away. To me, that's why it looks like a different course besides the routing itself, but just the landscape is totally different.
Number 7's pretty close to original, but that green is new when they rebuilt it. And the trees to the right of it here, on the right side, that's where the green used to be. A little shorter and right. Number 9, based on the aerial, pretty original hole, more or less. It's a long one down a chute, a lot of trees, uphill at the end. Should be fun.
Maybe I'm in there too.
This is a trap you're saying is awesome?
Yeah, this thing right here, I mean, look at it. You've got the pot bunker, you got this big old trap. Like, if this thing was done right, this thing is sick. Especially on a par 5 where you're gonna go for it. Be awesome. Like, look at that thing. Gorgeous. Could be gorgeous.
There was a time.
Yeah. So this pin, every time I've played here, is always kind of in this area up front. Because when you go back here, they can't grow the grass on there. I don't know what they're doing here. But that is rough. Look at that.
So for you greenskeeper smart people, I'm assuming this has something to do with how the health of the green's not good, but what are all these red dots for? Leave a comment, tell us. What are they doing?
Something we haven't talked about yet, but it's reversed, right? 1 in 10, because when you go, like I'm using an app to keep score, it started me on 10.
So I was gonna make a comment. I'm not sure. I'm gonna do this. So I was gonna make a comment. We haven't done our intro yet at this point of talking, but so I can speak to the original holes, what's left of them, what's not. But I've read of so many different routings out there that I'm not clear if 10 was number 1, 1 was number 10. But so you told me number 10 here is the original 1.
Well, I mean, per the like GPS app, right? So when we teed off on 1, it was this hole.
Okay.
And all the way through. So I had to like start basically keeping score on 10.
So I think that was more modern. I think the original 1922 layout, that 10 was number 10 and 18 was 18, because 18 finishes into the clubhouse here.
That's fair. Yeah.
But
that's fair.
there's also a practice green right by here. You come out of the locker, but this is also the one right out of the locker room. Yeah. So I wonder, I don't know. But yeah, I couldn't find anything. The only thing I could find, the 2017 Illinois, wasn't getting us in camera there. 2017 Illinois State Am started on like number 6 is number 1 to deal with congestion issues here.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah, but I couldn't find anything on original routings.
Huh.
So here, if you know, leave a comment and tell us what the original 1922 routing of Calumet Country Club was and where it changed. It's a good golf shot. Number 10 green.
Yeah.
I always thought super cool green complex. The big Ross mounds.
I wanted to ask about the mounds. So they're kind of in a weird spot to me.
Well, these are just sort of ways of protecting. And then you see, like, that was a bunker. So you have this mound, you avoid this bunker, you have to deal with this mound. I wonder what that bunker was originally like. It seems awfully...
It was probably closer, right? This green might have been bigger.
Yeah, and probably shaved off there a little bit and drains into it.
Right. Because they have the same thing on that side too.
But I should have gone out there, but now this guy's mowing. But it has great contours, really neat green. Falls off the back in a beautiful prairie creek.
Big, Midwestern.
And then you have alternative tee boxes for the par 3 coming up. It's a cool little part of the course. So when Calumet Country Club first went public, I would come out and play every now and then. And number 10 you might play these alternative tee boxes here. I'm sorry, 11
yeah.
near the 10th green. But now it looks like they're just not using them. I don't know. That one looks mowed. But
no tee markers, because that's a cool box right there.
yeah. Well, they're set up over there right now on the other side. But they have signs. They used to have signs saying, hey, which one you got to go play, blah, blah, blah. So I wonder if the second set still gets used. So backstory in Calumet Country Club, they originally established in 1901 at a different site, and it was a Herbert J. Tweedy design. I can't remember if they needed more space. It probably was that. They wanted more space, better property for this new game that Chicagoland natives were falling in love with in America. And so they purchased this land here. I think we're technically in Homewood, but the government's fighting over who's going to annex what right now to build an Amazon distribution center or whatever.
Pretty much, yeah.
Who knows what town it'll be by the time this goes up. Bought this land, this farmland, and what I found between Golf Club Atlas and the various spots on the internet was they commissioned William Langford to build 27 holes, or design and build 27 holes. And obviously there are not 27 holes here, and it doesn't look like that deal ever quite finished. And ultimately Ross designed an 18-hole layout, and that's the course that was built. It's not the course that's here today, but held the 1924 Western Open. It had the 1945 Chicago Victory Open. Do you know what was significant about that?
No.
It was one of Byron Nelson's wins in his record 11 consecutive PGA wins. Yep.
That's pretty cool.
So one of them was here at this course.
That's wild.
And then in the 50s, this highway right behind us was coming in, and they had to cut off a big chunk of the property. I'm sure it was a really above board, mutually agreeable, beneficial deal.
Right.
And so they had to figure something out to save an 18-hole golf course within the property. Donald Ross, I was probably long dead, or no, at least if he wasn't, nowhere near the business anymore.
Yeah.
Or cared. That's possible. So I looked I'm looking at notes here. So when that came in the 50s, and they needed to do this rearrangement to fit, you had Larry Packard and I think Brent Wadsworth, but the Wadsworths were big in course design and architecture and construction here in the Chicagoland area. So they they reformatted the course, fitted inside the highway line, and there's about 9 original holes, they say, still intact, with some slight alterations, but more or less 9 originals. And I'm trying, as we've been recording, I'm trying to capture those, trying to see, the originals and the changes. And truth be told, we've only hit one pocket of big change so far. So we have more to come. What else is there to talk about?
Now, do we think Donald Ross stepped foot on this property?
I do not.
Yeah.
It's possible, but what happens a lot with Donald Ross, he shows up to areas, takes a look, and then mails them plans later, or never even steps foot on the property, gets some sort of map sent to him, and draws up plans and sends them.
I mean, I wonder how much of Langford's work he took on and just said, I'll just do this.
Right. And by all accounts, Langford was a little more hands-on.
Yeah.
Langford and Moreau with their steam shovels and what have you. But who knows, right?
Yeah. And
so I mentioned earlier, or I don't know how we're going to edit this, but if I didn't mention earlier, it'll be later. Is American something. You'd think I would have wrote it down. They did the construction work here. They did the construction work at Medina, Olympia. Nope. I take that back as I'm saying that. I'm getting that mixed up with Lincolnshire Country Club in Crete, Illinois, because I was looking at that at the same time. And Lincoln Oaks. We'll save that for another time.
Yeah.
But, small tidbit. Bendelo is working with the same construction company all over the place, and so that's why they came into my head. Don't know who actually did the construction work here. It might have been the golf pro and the groundskeeping crew and who knows what, but the Ross design got beat up by Packard and Wadsworth to fit in, and they seem to do a good job. The layout's fun. It's a neat little course.
Yeah, I like this place. It obviously needs some TLC, but like.
But it was private, and so this was the oasis of ritzy, private country club players, and they wanted the best course they could have, and they're investing in it. And good old Bob Lohman came in and did some work to it. And then I heard, I'm not sure if Lohman was the last one in the kind of last ditch effort to save the place and make it appealing, but that they invested some money in a bunch of work and was someone of reputation, and it just was too little too late. The course ran into the typical financial troubles of the south suburb private boom. I mean, what do we have?
Oh my gosh.
Ravislow, Olympia, Flossmoor, Calumet, Idlewild.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole bunch of them that were gone by 1940 anyway. So there's just tons and tons of golf. And and Lincolnshire, that place had 4 courses on it. Olympia used to have 4 courses. Now it's only 2. So they definitely oversaturated private golf down here and could only hang on so long. And even as recent as 2017, Calumet Country Club held the Illinois State Am, and I'm sure it was a successful endeavor. And then 2018-19, they called it quits, opened it to the public, and there was visions of this prosperous, semi-private future, and it quickly wasn't going to work out, and they sold off to some investment group who wants to turn it into a distribution center, and all the villages and neighbors don't want to see it turn into a trucking area. And
so now it's like an illegal battle, I think, right?
Yeah, it's been tied up.
Because they want to concrete this whole place.
Well, and then they pitched all these parks and residential and all these things, but nobody likes the sounds of any of it, and people can't agree on who's going to take ownership of it in terms of what village and tax dollars and how it's going to be handled. And they thought, if you do some Googling, it's amazing how many articles come up where government's like, we're all in agreement, we're handshake, let's do this. And the zoning meetings happen and it all falls apart. So this place was supposed to be done before the pandemic, and we're still here. They still get a good amount of rounds.
Kicking,
It's seen a lot better days. And I think of when I first played it and it was semi-private, and they still had a membership who, putting drinks on their account and that kind of culture. This course was sharp. It was really nice, and while it's been sad to see it definitely dwindle. It's still fun to be able to come play at a 102-year-old golf course that has that golden era bones. So I'm hoping they're back for 2025, and if not, maybe I'll be able to squeeze a round or 2 more in before they shut down this year. But yeah, hopefully this is a useful video. I don't feel like there's too much out there to really get into that sort of what's the story of Calumet Country Club front to back.
And if you combine it with sort of the early history of Chicago, for Chicagoans that are wondering why out here? The original city was the south side, what is now the south side. So this was not far, right? This was, but you could still get out of the city and come out here. It was 25 minutes this morning for me coming in from the new downtown, Second City, if you will.
And this was where all the steel was, all the railroad stuff was.
Right.
And so, we're not too far from the Indiana border, so there was a lot of steel and rail magnates.
For sure.
Activity down here, and it was booming, and they all wanted their private playgrounds, and that was only going to last for so long. Very Rossian here too, with a deceptive front. So the 11 par 3, speaking of our routing questions, used to be the 14th hole. And so you'd finish on 10, and there was a tee that, I wonder if that's extra tee box, but there was a tee box and an 11th hole that went that way behind it, which I have to look again, but I'm pretty sure it's not there anymore at all. I can't get enough of the prairie grass filled bunkers.
Yeah.
And again, to the point I made about like when I first started coming here right after they went public, these were playable. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough, man.
the 13th hole today was really just like a chunk of the 12th hole. And then the original 17 was like at a midpoint on 13's green. So this hole, based on my maps, didn't exist. So this would have been a whole new hole when they shoved it inside the very noisy highway right here. So 15th hole, don't really get a good look from the tee, but it jogs back toward the clubhouse. This is not an original hole. It got shoved in next to 18 when the highway came in, and you have to hit over this creek here, and you can see these bushes have grown up. They were not this tall when they opened to the public, but they've let them go, and it adds a whole new obstacle off the tee. But yeah, this hole didn't exist, and you finished on 18 right next to us, and it was, I'm assuming, part of a massive practice range, or maybe this was more woodsy, I don't know. But 15, a new post highway hole. So the signature journey is a long trip from the 15th green to the 16th tee, because remember, we just told you this hole didn't exist in the original layout. I want you to swing over here real quick too, so we can get the abandoned pool. And this is also always something.
Yeah. Right here. Oh yeah, you can kind of see it.
The old,
The pool house, huh?
these gates have historically been, oh no, they're not. The pool, as you can see,
Wow.
they're not even trying to make it not fall apart because they know they're just going to destroy it. Yeah, and this, I think this was still open right when they were trying to welcome the public.
I mean, that pool house doesn't look that old. I mean, it matches the clubhouse.
I like that there's still, you can
Signage.
see there's still like notifications in the bulletin board. So before we move on, I gotta say this. I don't know what year their clubhouse was built here, but it could not be more like modern housing development clubhouse. I feel like when you were shooting to maintain such a classic reputation and golden age Chicagoland club, it's still, you know, it's still a nice building and all. All right, so anyway, we're on our way to the 16th tee here.
We gotta cross 10.
Got to go down the side of 10,
Yeah.
cross it, make sure no one's hitting. Remember the first time I played it, didn't have these signs up yet. And I'm assuming it's because, you know, the members, they know, if you know, you know. But I had a hard time. Now, it's a little scary here because you have the first and 10th tees essentially right behind you, and you're in the line of fire.
I never noticed that before. Yeah, it's one tee is coming right at us.
Yeah.
This is this old school tight routing.
So the 16th hole here used to be the 15th hole, I figured out. And it's fairly close to the original. It doglegs pretty sharp. I don't know how well you can capture the bend, but there's a bend there. Doglegs pretty sharp to the left. But the green is a newer green because the highway came in and the green would have ended like right where the highway was. So it was a longer hole, got cut off by the highway. But the 16th hole is the original 15th and fairly close to the original. So 17 here cozies up to 11, I believe that is. The shared tees we were on earlier. But again, as I can tell, a fairly original hole. And this would have been the original 13. And even looking at the aerial, the bunkers, the greens, I mean, it looks pretty true to original form. But now it's the 17th hole. Hoping I go in the water. Oh, wait. These aren't ponds and marshes? No, I'm no expert. It's a nice chip by Chris. But I always feel like this is a pretty shrunken green for a Ross green. I'm sure they did do some major redo of it at some point. But it's little. Tell you what, it is still tough. Number 18, another one fairly original. Big, interesting green complex when you get up there, so I'll get footage of that and show you. Now I have to do some research. I'm not sure, going back to the routing, if this would have been 18 or would have been 9. But either way, it's a solid finishing hole. So the 18th green, the green itself looks a little shrunken again, but man, it is a big one. And I mean, you can tell in its day, this thing's a full size, probably nice and fast. This thing was a menace. Always thought it was a cool green. They clearly have let this fringe creep up into it. Because I remember having some really long putts on this putting green. But it's a solid finishing green. So that was Calumet Country Club. People walking by probably what we're doing. 123-year-old club.
Yeah, 123-year-old.
This course has been, or I should say this property has been 102 years, give or take. But definitely has the bones, the roots of golden age Chicagoland golf architecture.
For sure.
The Ross bones are there. Hopefully, we did a good job, at least giving you an idea of the history of it that we know of and what's original, what's not. We did our best. If you know anything, of course, leave a comment down below. Tell us what we're missing, what else we need to figure out, and if you like this kind of thing, maybe we can make more of them.
Yeah, we can use it to get on floss more.
That's what we need to do. There's a lot, like we mentioned throughout the video,
Yeah.
There's a lot down here. It'd be fun to do this kind of thing at. So,
same with Ravislow. We should offer it up to Ravislow.
yeah, Ravislow.
I feel like Ravislow is this maintained.
They went private thing, running out of money,
Yeah.
went public, and succeeded.
Yeah.
And they have that cool clubhouse too. God knows what we can see in there. So,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, that'd be a lot of fun to do.
I'm Chris McEwen. Follow me at Chris McEwen. This is Bill Bush. Follow him at Range Heroes. Read his stuff at drivingrangeheroes.com. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell, and we'll see you next time.